Popular culture is defined as such because it defines the interests of a people at any given point in time. With that as a basis, what can we make of Miley Cyrus's performance at the VMA Awards? What can be gleaned about our society from this particular demonstration? On the outset, we see a young woman performing a standardized pop song and dancing in a modern, conventional style. It becomes interesting, however, when examining more closely the physical nature of the piece. While the style of dance is in fact one that we currently see in abundance, it is generally understood to be African American in origin. Here we must question if what we're seeing is a Caucasian artist recognizing and paying tribute to older, traditional artistic forms in the same way that the Rolling Stones and other similar musicians borrowed substantial cues from the blues genre, itself being developed primarily by African Americans, or if we're actually seeing a misrepresented and bastardized version of the style by a young and naive performer who is simply mirroring those who she sees as successful. Perhaps a clue regarding this question can be seen early in the performance as Miley, surrounded by young black dancers, performs something similar to what is commonly called a twerk. Shaking her buttocks at the young woman, they gaze admiringly as one performs a slapping motion which symbolizes their respect for both her feminine form and mastery of the movement. I question, however, the legitimacy of these reactions. The performance has certainly been choreographed, and while live performances of this nature include much improvisation, it is clear that the impression is to present a passing of the torch of sorts from the black originators to an archetype which I'll refer to as the white savior. As seen in such popular cinematic events as Dances with Wolves, Avatar, The Last Samurai, and others, the personification of a white savior is usually demonstrated by the process of a Caucasian male entering a society as an outsider, being ostracized and feared, and eventually proving himself by excelling at every aspect of the native lifestyle, despite his lack of training or authentic understanding for their culture. Miley's performance is perhaps an adaptation of the conventional model in that it is a woman who is proving herself to the original peoples instead of a man, but what I feel is surely worth noting when discussing this archetype is that the culture being penetrated and ultimately protected by the white savior is almost always suffering afflictions caused not by itself, but by the imposing culture of that same figure. After recognizing this relationship, the more important question becomes not whether Miley understands what she is doing, but rather, do we? Is her performance the equivalent of Tom Cruise's mounted horseback charge in The Last Samurai, doing what he can to preserve a culture he respects, or could it instead be a misguided subversion of cultural heritage? This possibility would explain the looks on the faces of prominent individuals of African heritage who were attending the event, such as Drake and Rihanna, but it may take a generation to fully grasp the importance of such a performance. Other notable curiosities regarding the act include facial contortions, which range from rudimentary and warped Gwen Stefani impressions to convincing demonic possession, as well as the taunting of a particularly large black hindquarter before slapping it in dismissal as if to say, "It's my turn now." Surely more will be written about this complex and epoch-defining work, but I feel that the most telling hint within the entire performance as to its cultural and even philosophical significance is observed as Miley first steps onto the stage. In a truly inspired piece of choreography, she runs her fingers through her hair like a temptress of classic lore, but looking closely we can see that her fingers run only through the air. The hair which she toys with exists only on the character which she's portraying. As filmmaker Chris Marker might say, the entire piece is simply a grin without a cat. Miley Cyrus's revolution exists only in the air, refusing to materialize.